Hello, everyone, and welcome to our virtual back to school night for your students' Avid 3 or 4 class. So this year we did decide to combine our juniors and seniors together. So I am fortunate enough to have juniors and seniors in my Avid class this year. Just a quick introduction of who I am. My name is Miss Sote. Your students might also refer to me as Miss S. I said that was completely fine. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of a background about who I am and where I am coming from. I'm actually the daughter of 2 teachers. My dad taught middle school, my mom taught elementary school, and I decided to close that loop and teach high school. I did go to college to become a math teacher. So I went to Cal Poly and I got a degree in mathematics, but I also concentrated in teaching. And so my degree was really cool because I learned a bunch of math, but I also learned what it takes to be a good teacher. And so I feel like that skill has really helped me, especially in this Avid class, to show your students what they need to expect in life. I'm also super passionate about the environment, which a lot of your students have shared that they are also passionate about the environment. So that has been really cool to see and has been a nice little way to bond with them. So once I got my degree from Cal Poly, I did end up moving to Monterey Bay, where I got my teaching credential at the Cal State there. I spent a wonderful year there. I student taught in Salinas for a whole year. I was in a math classroom for that, but I got to work with all these wonderful students in Salinas and just get my experience teaching, practice my skills, and it really helped me see what it takes to be a good teacher. Then once I finished my credential, I was super fortunate to be hired at Half Moon Bay High School. So last year was actually my first year at the high school. Definitely a weird first year with it being mostly online, but I could already tell that the community in this area is absolutely wonderful. So I was really excited to start my second year here. And this also happens to be my first year teaching Avid. So at the end of last year, Mr. Boysen and Mrs. Tower were like, hey, Miss Sote, we think you'd be a great fit as an Avid teacher. And I was super excited to try it out. I did go to training this summer just to help me understand a little bit more about Avid. So that kind of helped me get started. But it is my first year and I'm with juniors and seniors. So it's been really cool because I feel like a lot of them have helped teach me as well, which I don't think there's anything wrong with students teaching teachers as well as teachers teaching students. So they've kind of let me know some of the Avid traditions that some of them have been dealing with since middle school. And we're just kind of going day by day to make sure that we are all prepared for this class. So I'm working really hard. I'm really excited to be working with this group. So far, everyone has been so welcoming and so on task and ready to be taught and ready to teach me. So here are the goals of the class. I know I do have a few students who are in Avid for their first year, which means you are the parents of a student in Avid for the first year. For those of you who are more experienced, you might have heard this before. But Avid is really designed to help your student prepare for college and or a career. So the whole purpose of this class is to teach your students the skills that they're going to need in college, or if they decide not to go straight to college, in their careers after high school. So we're going to focus a lot about organizational skills. We're going to focus a ton on study skills. We're also going to have a whole unit on budgeting so that your student can feel prepared financially. We have a wonderful volunteer helping some of our seniors apply to college and applying for scholarships. I'll be working with the juniors more to get them to understand what it's going to take to apply for college and apply for scholarships. We're going to work to figure out, for our students who are less sure what they want to do in life, we're going to see how to figure out what the right career for them is so that when they finish high school, they feel like they have a path to follow. And of course, a life skill that everyone needs. We are going to be practicing how to collaborate with each other. So your students are actually arranged in groups in my classroom. They work with their partners and teammates every single day because that is definitely a skill that we all need in life. Okay. Avid is definitely an ever-changing class, but this is the structure that we are generally going to have set up. So Avid actually really likes to emphasize these processes called tutorials, and they're a chance for your students to figure out what questions they have in any of their classes, and then present those questions to their classmates and have their classmates and me try and help solve those questions. So tutorials will usually last 30 to 40 minutes, and we do them twice a week. So Mondays and part of Fridays will be dedicated to tutorials. I will be practicing tutorials with your students before we get started on that so that they feel like they're ready to go, and then we'll start doing them so that your student feels like they have that support going into class and have that support if they feel like they're struggling in any of their classes. And then the rest of Fridays, again, we'll hit some of those topics that I mentioned on that last slide: organization skills, budgeting, applying for colleges and scholarships, all of that. Wednesdays are going to be more of a split class. So as I mentioned earlier, we are going to have a wonderful volunteer who has dedicated every Wednesday for this entire year to help seniors get into college. Her name is Miss Leopold. She actually used to work for a nonprofit that did just this, helped students get into college and helped students apply for scholarships. So she knows all the ins and outs of that process. She's going to work really closely with our college-ready seniors to make sure that they can get into the schools that they desire. I'll be sticking with the juniors and a couple seniors on Wednesdays. We'll be practicing, again, more of those skills that I mentioned on that other slide. But it's been a wonderful addition. We're really excited to have her. She worked with some of the students last year, and she's really excited to be back this year. All right, I did want to just go over the syllabus a little. So this is a link if you do click on the word syllabus. Nothing super fancy. Again, Avid does really emphasize organization. So just making sure your students have all of these supplies ready to go, or if you need me to order any of these supplies, that is totally fine. We do have an Avid budget that I can spend on some school supplies if your student is in need of them. Their grade is mostly coming from tutorials, homework, classwork, participation, and projects, as you can see. But then again, hitting home that organization, we will be doing a couple binder checks throughout the year just to make sure your students are staying organized and being prepared. A big thing I want to mention is that grades will all be posted on School Loop. I do have a Google Classroom set up for this class, but the nice thing is Google Classroom has been connected to School Loop. So whatever you see in Google Classroom, you also see in School Loop. And we'll talk about Google Classroom a little bit later. The last thing I really wanted to mention is that I know with COVID that students are dealing with a lot of chaos potentially. So I am going to be pretty lenient about late work. If your students turn in something a couple days late, I totally understand. Just please encourage them to not make it a habit. So those are the main points from the syllabus that I wanted to talk about. If you want to read the rest of the syllabus, it is linked in this PowerPoint here, which you have access to. Okay, now let's talk about Google Classroom. And again, this is exactly the same stuff you are going to see in School Loop in case your student is wondering if they need to constantly be looking back and forth. Nope, if they're happy with School Loop, they can stay with School Loop. So every single class period, I do post the homework and every single material that we worked on in class. So if we look today, or I guess you'll be seeing this a little bit later, but we did not have any specific homework other than getting our planners ready. So your students do need a personal planner that they fill in every week to stay on top of their workload. But if there is ever homework, I will be writing it here. I don't really like to assign a ton of homework with Avid because, again, the emphasis is making sure that they're focusing on their other classes as well. But every once in a while, we will have homework. Other than homework, you can see I do have a couple resources linked here. So this is our entire PowerPoint from the class period. So students who are absent can come and look on Google Classroom and say, oh, what did I miss? What do I need to make up? And then any resources that we come up with during class will also be linked. So today we talked about a bunch of organizational tips. A bunch of classmates came up with a huge list to share with each other, and so we consolidated it here. So every single class period, your student can go to Google Classroom or Schooloop to figure out what their homework is and what their classwork was. If you do want to be added as a parent on Google Classroom, I can totally get that arranged. Just email me and let me know that you want to be added. And speaking of email, I would absolutely love to get to know all of you better. I think having parent relationships really helps when we're trying to work with our students and make sure that they succeed. So please reach out to me if you ever have any questions. Please reach out to me if you just want to introduce yourself. I'm super excited to get to know a bunch of you throughout the year. This is my email, sotej@cabrillo.k12.ca.us, and I hope to hear from you soon. Have a wonderful day.